Okay, we got minutes.
We do have two sets. Well, we signed, we had some corrections that were retyped and corrected from the November 2nd meeting. We have minutes, John, you gotta look at those from the second meeting, which was just the 23rd.
Yep.
Other than the date at the top, which said 16th. I scratched that already, if that's all right. I had no additions, corrections.
Okay, make a motion to
John?
approve.
Mike?
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
John,
Yep. Did you get Emmerich hooked up or not?
He's coming in, right?
He's there, he's online. Emmer, can you hear us?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Give your report, Em.
Is my report?
Yeah.
Well, Jack, this will be off the cuff. First, we'll talk about the engineers. We'll be meeting either Thursday or Friday. We'll be marking trees for the Stafford Road OBWC project. We did initially target February or March as the months to begin, but I think we need to get on top of this a little earlier. We'll go ahead and we'll put this out to bid once we get the trees marked. The engineers, we did send the confirmation in with last meeting with the letter there, accepting the difference in the plans and the deviation from center line, removal of trees and objects within the road right of way. That being said, we'll now understand where the construction limits are and what will be removed. And once we have that, as well, then we have to put this out in the paper, and then we'll put it out to accept bids. Therefore, I am anticipating upwards of about $45,000 to possibly $50,000 for the amount of tree removal due to the amount of crane work. I believe that's necessary to get a lot of these large trees removed as well. Once we meet that, that our deadline is March 31st for the tree removal itself due to the potential Indiana bat habitat that we have along that road. Most of the residents, about 90% of the residents did get back to me, did reach out. I had a couple meetings with several of them. We do have 95% of them are understanding and agreeing with the amount of work that does need to be done there. I mean, it's not going to stop us. I do have a section of roadway where I have residents that did not respond to the letter, and we did send out 2 letters, by the way, alerting them to this project and the beginning stages. So I do believe once we get the trees marked that I will be hearing from those residents. Other than that, you guys did do the resolution of necessity, convenience, and necessity for Bartholomew Road and Leland Trail. I did already get from the engineers a list of drainage issues that do need to be taken care of prior to those projects taking off. Other than that, the storm that we had, well, it was, I likened it to the FEMA storm that we experienced in 2005, I believe it was. There was a point in time for about 8 hours that we had multiple road closings with trees and limbs and debris in the road from the heavy snow. And one of the challenges was to keep the roads open, keep plow trucks on the road, and I had to dedicate 2 of our personnel just to tree removal and to keep the roads clear. And the fire department and Chief Phillips himself, we had a lot of conversations that day, and we closed some roads down. We had some primaries involved, a lot of calls from the sheriff's department as well. We did manage to open up all the roads, I believe, except Valley Road, where we had the primaries involved in a tree there. It did take several days of cleanup to get most of the limbs and debris off the road. There is some existing, it is off the roadway, it still resides within the right-of-way, but it's well off the roadway where it doesn't pose any danger or harm. And this is something probably in the spring we'll do an extended cleanup and go out there and remove all that stuff. We did experience a couple breakdowns during the day, which made it challenging as well. At one point in time, I had 2 men working on mechanical breakdowns. I had 2 men dedicated to tree removal, and I had 2 plow trucks on the road. But believe it or not, we were able to get the roads open by the end of the day and provide safe travel for the traveling public.
Any questions for Emmerich?
Yes, Chief Phillips here. Thank you very much for the job you did with us. We really appreciate the work you guys did in the road department. I know it kind of beat you guys up that night, but you stayed in there with us and worked through it, and we really appreciate the good job you guys did.
Hey, Chief, I appreciate it, and I'll pass that along. And you and I know we have a lot of years together, and we have a great relationship forged between the 2 departments. You come calling, I come running, and you do the same for me. So it's been a great relationship.
Okay. We do have a couple things that we put some requisitions in for. You want to talk about any of those, Emmerich, or?
I don't have them in front of me. I know that there was, oh boy, I know I have some plow edges for the trucks. Those, I usually get 3 years out of those. It's an expensive item. It's $4,000 for 2 sets of Razor XLs. But once again, we're getting 3 years life out of those edges. I know that that's in there. I think I have some mailbox posts. There's a couple other big item tickets that Mr.
alternator in there
Ludwig
for one of
did
the
there as
trucks.
well. We do have tires for his truck that he did request. That is I think he has 48,000 miles on those original tires on his truck, so it's time that we change those out. I think you guys should have the requisitions in front of you there if you want to.
He had an alternator in there for one of the trucks.
He can't hear you.
What was that, Mike?
He had an alternator in there for one of the trucks also.
Yeah, that's for truck 19. The alternator, initially what had happened, us checking it, once again, everything on here is computer controlled. It seemed that the output was good. It seemed that the regulator was good. We swapped the alternators out as per recommended by one of the Western Star service centers, and that didn't do the trick. This truck, we are in contact from where we purchased it, and we do believe we're going to get this fixed under warranty. So that should be taken in there. I think we'll get it charged up and be able to get it into Cleveland. And then the work, Mr. Ludwig has been in contact with the service director there, and I think this is going to be taken care of under the warranty. I believe the truck only has 7,000 miles on it.
And there was
One other. Oh, I'm sorry.
There was a couple others for repairs and maintenance too. I believe there was one on truck 14 for what was that, a turn signal and something else for 3,500.
Yeah, actually, Fred, that's truck 15.
15.
What had happened during the storm, the limbs and the boughs of the pine trees, everything was encroaching on the road, where we were actually driving through tunnels at sometimes of branches, and the mirrors got hit, the turn signals got knocked off at 15. It was unavoidable to drive these trucks through some of these roads without coming in contact with a lot of the trees that were bending over into the roadway. And that truck 15 there, I believe it's $1,350 for the parts. I think we added $1,500 for the labor for that.
Yeah, this has been kind of a major year for repairs and maintenance. We've done supplemental appropriations a couple times to cover that. So that's all I had.
All right, looks like a barrel of oil and some cutting edges systems. Everything else has been mentioned here, so I don't,
And one other thing
Standard business.
I had been talking to these guys about, and we discussed this back a year or two ago, maybe more than that, about getting one of these little gator trucks to put at the park. So when we got to go to the back end of the park to cut trees and do maintenance, you're not sending a guy on a walk that's gonna, a mile out and, I don't know, what do you guys think about that?
oh, I think we could probably use something like that come springtime anyway.
Yeah, you can't get the trucks down there, and you're right, you can't have them carrying all the equipment. That's a long distance to, if you're going that entire path,
You
so.
wouldn't wanna go in there with a backhoe, you're rolling the trail.
No, it's not big enough for the backhoe, but we could run the mini, but that'd take all day.
It's gonna cut up the trail too.
Yeah,
You can't, you can't loosen gravel in there for the walkers.
well, Remick, you wanna get your guys and take a look at, what you think would be the best option for that?
Sure. As a matter of fact, during this past storm, we did have trees down in the park, so,
Yeah.
once again, we are carrying the saws back there and, you walk all the way back to the end and back, and back, and you're talking just about a mile walk just to clear a tree, so. We did rent those, to actually do the installation of the path. And, they did work out fine for us. And I think the way that the park's evolving and the maintenance that we're doing up there, that this is possibly, something that would complement, what we do up there, or the maintenance that we do.
We could store it at the Parker building.
Yeah. And the other thing, Emmerich, and I'll let you go after this, but it looks like we found that, wrist attachment for the Mini.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, we've been talking about that for a while too.
right, then that'll articulate and then as well will give us the, ability to, cut in a V-bottom ditch where necessary, instead of just doing the round bottoms where a lot of times within the subdivisions, especially where the, V-bottoms exist, it gives us the ability, just to mirror, the back slope and the fore slope and, keep that type of ditch in there instead of carving out the round bottom.
I'm sure that'll come in handy. Emmerich, anything you wanna?
I think at one point, time we passed a motion to get one of those wrists,
Yeah.
but we just never got around to doing it. The guy who's selling it, I don't know, he was having a baby or something.
Well, I'm sure we'll use it. The other thing, Nancy and I discussed late this afternoon is, senior pickups for cleanup day.
Em was gonna talk about that, ask him.
Yeah.
He got the letter.
Emmerich, you heard me?
Yeah, I got you, PJ. Yeah, I've been in contact with the Department on Aging, boy, over the course of the fall, and, not that they're putting pressure on us to make a decision, but their calendar's filling up, as far as let's call them available dates. And historically, we have always had our trash day on the first Saturday in June. And, I've been here 20-some years, I don't remember any other day besides that.
Yeah,
I did have a conversation with them today, and they said, well, hey, Chardon picked those days, Newberry picked those days. Well, in the past, Newberry always did theirs the same time as we have. And I don't know, are we supposed to alter our trash day to suit them? This is their event, but we're utilizing our equipment, manpower, man-hours to help them out on this event. We did do it in September this last year. As long as it doesn't conflict, if we do have a community picnic, I don't see a problem with that, but that's up to you guys where you want to position our trash day. I don't have a problem with the first Saturday day in June, being that's always when we had it done and our residents are familiar with that.
Yeah, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Well, having not looked at a calendar for June of 21 yet, what is the first Saturday of June?
Would that be June 5th?
I don't know.
Let you know in a flash. Yeah, the first Saturday would be June 5th.
Yep.
June 5th.
And they've
So
got-
that would, put the senior, pickup day as on the, 3rd and 4th. One of the things that I don't think that, that I do have to convey to the Department on Aging is that we don't just specially go out and get dumpsters for them.
Oh, no, I'm not willing to do that.
Right,
That's-
we couple it together with our large item day. That's why we do that. I did have a conversation with, Bill and Mark today in a conference call, and I did let them know that, we're pretty much, set with this first Saturday in June, albeit that's always how we had it. And he did say, well, then if we have to work with it, then I would have to. So, it's up to you guys. If you wanna alter it, make it in the fall again, I don't have a problem with it. But, that first Saturday in June historically has always been,
I'd say
when we had it back.
I'd be in favor of keeping it as the first Saturday of June. We've only been doing it that way for 20 years, 25 years.
Right.
Yeah, I concur.
Yeah, last year was an anomaly, so.
Could we do a pickup, Monday and Tuesday of that prior week? That's not too soon, is it? Cause I'm just looking at what they already got scheduled. They got Chardon on the 2nd and 3rd, Newberry on the 4th and 5th.
The only thing is, every day extra you got those dumpsters sitting there, that's just
Yeah.
inviting trash to come there.
Well, what,
And PJ, I think the one thing as well, and I think we talked about this, even if the Department on Aging didn't do it, that we've done it for so long for them, that we would do our own senior pickup, that,
They schedule it. we do
we're
it,
paying
yeah.
for the dumpsters anyways. I mean, what are we getting from them other than, a man or two?
They schedule it, right?
PJ.
Yeah.
If I can interrupt, the Monday before
Yeah,
that
they
is
do
May-
paperwork.
Memorial Day.
Oh, it's
So May
that late.
31st is Memorial Day.
Oh, it's that late
coming year,
this year,
so
okay.
just to let you know.
Yeah. Hey, PJ, I'm gonna talk to them tomorrow. So, I'll make sure that I mention this, that we're pretty much set on the first Saturday and see what they come back
just tell
with.
them to do the
I
first
think
Saturday.
that they'll work with us, even if they give us, what's that, Mike?
Yeah, just tell them, first Saturday, and then we'll do the, 3rd and 4th
Right.
for our pickup, for the senior pickup.
Right, and if you guys, I'm sorry. Also this year, guys, we did hire those, helpers for those days.
Yeah,
Do it again.
And that really helped out.
Yeah, do that
So,
again.
the Department on Aging was unable to produce volunteers, so we went and hired our own guys. And if we could duplicate that this coming year, that was a godsend. We were able to do a lot more pickups than we have in the past.
I'm all for it, do that again.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then also, if I relay to them that we're bringing on our own volunteers, that should, I don't wanna say appease them, but I think they'll be, more apt to say, okay, we'll do that, so.
hey, let's not forget, they get reimbursed for this. Yeah, I think we should make this the most convenient. The residents are used to the first Saturday and let's just do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in favor of getting back on that normal schedule with everything.
Okay,
Okay, I think we beat that to death, we know what we're doing now.
what else you got there, Emmerich, anything?
No, that's it, John.
Okay. John, you wanna give us a report?
I've got Mario on the schedule for our report tonight.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, then, I don't have that, the latest,
This is-
so I just,
Mario Minacci.
you wanna go ahead and go?
Yes, just let Mario go.
Alright, so I got a few things for you guys. First thing's just a letter from the department thanking you guys for all your support for the levy. And John, I'll leave your copies of everything here for you.
Pardon?
I'll leave your copies of everything I'm handing out here at the township.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay.
Second thing is our budget for 2021. We'll talk through that shortly here. And then last thing is a draft of the contract for 2021 as well. Alright, so we'll start with that letter, so I'll just read it for everyone else. Auburn Township Trustees and Auburn Township residents. On behalf of the Auburn Fire Department, I would like to thank you for your support with our fire levy this November. From the very beginning stages of planning, we sincerely appreciated the support the trustees had to offer, as well as the outpouring of support from the community. As we have continued to grow as a department, we continue to face new and ever-changing challenges. One of these biggest challenges for us is to ensure we have properly trained staff to respond to incidents 24/7. While we have been taking steps to ensure this, we know that the passage of this levy will help us reach that goal and ensure we continue to provide exceptional care to our community. Fire and EMS continues to be more challenging, but we are confident that with the support we have seen from the community and its leadership, we will be able to meet these challenges. So again, thank you guys, Mr. Cronin. I appreciate all of your work that you did with us, and
We appreciate everything the department does and anything we can do to keep you guys afloat and on the cutting edge of the technologies that are available. We've gotta keep up. It's been been some growing pains, but we're doing pretty well, I think.
yeah. Second thing you guys have is a copy of our draft budget for 2021. So, even though we passed levy, we're still working off of the same figures from last year, and we'll get to that with contract. So no contract increase. So still $696,000 from you guys, hopefully, and about $100,000 in EMS billing revenue. We'll probably be a little bit over that this year, so we might be a little bit over next year as well, but we want to keep it at that number just for budget purposes. Otherwise, really just some minute changes for us. One of the big things is, with planning to hire extra guys, we've got some additional money budgeted in there for some of the costs associated with hiring new guys. So some of the background check, health, physical expenses are going to be in there, as well as a little bit of an increase for the time that they're spending on shift during their training period.
Could I interrupt you for a second?
Absolutely.
Because I want to understand, you said you're going to go over the budget?
So I was saying that for our EMS billing, our anticipated revenue is $100,000. We'll probably exceed that for income a little bit this year. So likely we'll exceed that next year as well. But we actually changed our billing around the middle of the year, so we didn't have great numbers to work off of for next year so far.
And again, John, what I'm talking about is when you keep the contract the same, starting out this year, since we really don't know exactly how much revenue is going to be generated by the levy.
Right.
So, let's say we wanted to start out and say, well, wait till we get halfway through the year. Maybe we can start getting some more concrete numbers, then we can work off of that.
I'm all for that. Yeah. Okay, I also want to say you guys are doing a great job, and I want you to convey that to the members for the board. And over the course, because I've used your services, I am looking to my next trip to ride in that new one, new squad, not that old thing. Or at least if I could just ride inside the old thing. But no, you guys have done a great job, and I've actually heard some comments from people how happy they are with our rescue services.
Thank you, we appreciate it. We try to put a good service out for the community. And hopefully we can have you come check out the new squad from a different perspective.
Okay, one thing too, I had Mario,
Okay, buddy, all right.
I had Mario go over something real quick. We did make, I mean, besides updating the contract, it's basically the same contract as we had last year. There's one phrase we put in there, and go over that and explain to them why we had to make that change.
As far as defining
Defining your
medical
service.
yeah. So what we did is we actually defined, previously it was to provide fire protection and EMS. So what we did was better define that to emergency medical services, which includes urgent pre-hospital care, stabilization, and/or emergency transportation to definitive care destinations. So essentially better laying out what we're doing as a 911 service. So, we aren't providing interfacility transports or anything like that, but really just responding to 911 calls and transporting those people to an appropriate destination for care.
And having a full more expanded definition becomes critical when they're applying for grants. So they know exactly what services are supplied. Now we have a concrete definition of what we are supplying.
I know the prosecutors looked at this, so that only changed. Any response on that from the office?
She's looking at it. We should have that before the next meeting, so we can, if there are any changes, which I don't believe there will be.
It's a very minor change. She wanted to look at the ballot language for the levy to make sure that everything reflects, so that we're saying the same thing in the contract as what we have in the levy, et cetera.
All right, Mario, I did have a question for you too. The new hires, are they reflected in this, in the salary and the staffing pay, station manning?
Yes.
They are,
So
okay.
part of their, as far as their actual staffing at the station, that is reflected in there. And then for some of their new hire expenses, we actually pulled that into a different category, which is on the first page under new hire expenses.
I saw, what, 13,000 something?
Yeah, so 13,200 for, we're anticipating
Yes.
12 guys. We might be above that, we might be below that, but.
Well, my concern, and I know we have a new levy and we have, that's, what we're gonna collect needs to be determined from the auditor's office. But, his concern is the bottom line.
Right, so, yeah, we're a little bit more than we were last year, but with that increase to anticipate those new guys coming in, for them, we're looking at, their trainee period is 6 months. They do 12-hour shifts throughout that, so we were anticipating 2 12-hour shifts per guy over a 6-month period, so over time, that tends to build up, so that's one of the biggest.
Okay, I just want to confirm again, so that staffing increase is reflected here in staffing pay?
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so we had an increase there, and then we also had an increase, we actually added a new category, which is non-recall pay. So historically, when guys have come up for calls to backfill the station when the other crews are out, that was termed recall pay. So for the non-recall pay, we were looking at some of the things guys are doing when they aren't necessarily on shift, but are coming back in for either, meetings, or, a good example is, when we were going out to look at the squad out in New York, things like that. So we're making sure we're compensating guys for the amount of time they're spending at the station, or on projects affiliated with that. So those are the two biggest items that contribute to that, and then, a few increases across the board in a myriad of other categories, but nothing else too major.
Hey Mario, I've got one quick question. I'm looking at the profit and loss overview here, and it shows me what your net income is at the end of the year. But do you have any idea where you would stand on available resources at the end of the year? Well, you've got an income deficit, but how much is that going to eat into your cash reserves? Do you have any idea of that?
So I don't have the numbers in front of me right now. After this last payment that we received from you guys, I believe we're around the $500,000 ballpark again. I don't have that in front of me updated, but
obviously
nothing
we're going to have more income coming in with the levy
Correct.
distribution.
Yeah.
Once the collections
Will
are
be good.
established, yes. And we're gonna look at this at what, probably midpoint in the year, Mike, is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about?
I just, as soon as we get a concrete number. I
I'd
think
say
then we just-
probably March, probably end of the first quarter.
Okay, no, like I said, we just,
Plus, they're gonna charge us to collect the funds.
Got that.
yeah.
I think, I think if we can do it, I'd say by June or before, we should be okay.
Yeah. So whenever you guys get more information on that, then we'll, possibly revisit that at that point in time. All right, and then last thing that I had for you guys was the contract, which we essentially already covered. Really, minimal changes. Just put in a little bit of a better definition as far as the EMS services we provide, and updated dates to 2021. But really no.
Well, we'll plan on signing that on the 21st. What's our?
21st.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll plan on signing the contract then. I don't anticipate having any changes from the prosecutor's office. But if we do, we'll have them quickly. It'll give more enough time to get things rectified. But I don't see it, 'cause like I said, the changes are just pretty minimal compared to last year's contract, so we should be all right.
Okay.
You got anything else to add, Chief?
No, sir.
Do you want to talk about the sub-grant contract?
Might as well since we're talking.
Might as well.
The prosecutor provided a sample contract, which you guys, I think, already reviewed. Is that correct, Chief?
Yes.
It was basically a fill-in-the-blank contract. So she provided all of the necessary verbiage, except for items like, the name of the grantor, which is Auburn Township, and the sub-grantee, which is Auburn Volunteer Fire Department, and the amounts that would be sub-granted to Auburn Volunteer Fire Department. So she covered all of the, let's say, legalese language in here, and I just filled in from what, the information I have on the dollar amounts and just naming the organizations. The amount of the grant, sub-grant, is $208,355.11, as we already have discussed in prior meetings. And I did send this back to her once I filled in the language, just to make sure she didn't see any issues or anything else popped out at her. It should be back pretty soon. So I would recommend that we wait until we get her sign off on that.
I would assume that they've written off a lot of these sub-grant arrangements in the last few months.
This prosecutor has not, but she worked with other prosecutors in her office to come up with the language. So it's something they've used
I think
before.
it's pretty, been pretty well researched.
Yeah.
You wanna do that the next meeting?
Well, I would suggest
Yeah.
that we wait till we get her sign off on that before we move forward, because we're dealing with Office of Budget Management in the state of Ohio, and they're the ones that look this stuff over and will conduct an audit if they feel it's necessary, so it's always good to have our prosecutor's stamp of approval on it, so
Prior to us
We
doing
have a
any-
little
taking any action.
layer of
Right.
protection.
Okay, it's on the agenda for next meeting then.
Okay, anything else?
Nothing else for me.
Yeah, we're good, John.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
Mike?
Oh, I think we just about covered all the things I was gonna go over too, so I'll concede my time.
Okay, PJ?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same here, John. I'm gonna, once we get into the new business, it's fairly long. I don't know if you got an updated agenda. You didn't? Okay, so,
No, I didn't. You wanna just, when we get, we'll do that, and you just
yeah,
go down the subject so we don't miss anything.
I see there's a couple of earlier and a later agenda here, so that's what we'll do.
Let's do the new business.
There's one, okay, there's one other thing I wanted to bring up as far as the road guys, and it became kind of evident when we cut up 30 trees here the other day. I think we need chaffs, chainsaw chaffs and proper ear protection, for at least 2 sets. And I think that you're looking at it for a set, you're looking at $125, but for some reason, we've never had that. And I kind of asked Emery that from now on, let's get that, and if we go out, we make sure we use it.
Okay, so we're just gonna find something and write a requisition for it?
I think so.
Yes,
Okay.
I just think from a safety standpoint, we've been lucky.
I'll just get to one thing. Nancy and I talked about it, and John, I know you were in on it as well, and I think everybody in the township is aware of the situation, but we were out of power here for, was it 2.5 days here?
Yes.
Parts of the township, more than that. My son was out much longer. Talking about a generator, at least access.
I'm 100%.
Yeah.
I'm 100% in favor of that.
Here's the problem with scheduling one or trying to get one now is everybody's backed up on such things, you know. Everybody and their brother wants a generator now.
Yeah.
There's a couple things we can do. One is, it looks very likely that there's gonna be some more COVID money coming. We could, kinda work around until we know what that's gonna be about. Nancy and I talked, perhaps we can find an electrician. There really isn't a lot of demand here. We don't use much water. We use a furnace and air conditioning possibly, and the electronics, and that's about it, isn't it?
No. Well, we need to be able to run the pump too, but.
Well, yeah, we do, yeah. But
We should be able to get a nice home-sized unit, and, in my mind.
yeah, I'm hesitant to jump on it right now because I think there's gonna be money available for such things again, that we're gonna, like the recent, experience we had.
Well, we can get in line, let's do that. We can get the information, pick out what we want to get, and then we'll get in line, and if they get more money available, we'll go for it.
But I think we're talking about like a home-sized generator, essentially.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
this building in particular.
Yeah, that should be more than adequate.
Okay, well, I think that's kind of what we were talking about, Nancy, so.
It is.
Yeah, we can, well, we'll take our time and we'll
Right.
try to be prepared for such an opportunity, because it's probably coming again.
Okay,
Fred and John and get your reports or whatever, and then we'll get to this checklist.
that's all I have.
All right, I've got just a couple of items. Got your regular reports in front of you, of course, your fund status report, revenue status report, and your appropriation status report, as well as your payment listing, listing warrants 6140 through 6162, totaling $41,715.32. Of note would be the medical mutual premium payment of $25,699.25. Before I forget, we have to do temporary appropriations. We need to vote on that at the next meeting. So I've given you an appropriation status report that covers the entire fiscal year to date. And if you go through that, you can see what we've appropriated this year and what our final appropriation was, and then how much of those appropriations we actually spent. So that can give us a pretty decent idea of where we can make adjustments on the appropriations to kind of dial it in a little bit better. I left a copy for the chief so he can review the fire fund, and I will get a copy to Emmerich so he can take a look at the road fund. And then Nancy and I can go over the admin expenses and appropriations. And then if we can all try to get those marked up or get suggestions to me by the next meeting, I can prepare the temporary appropriations so that we can spend money on the first of next year.
Okay.
I have a resolution for supplemental appropriations here. That's resolution 2020-39, and I'll read the resolution into the record. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, that the following supplemental appropriations are necessary. $8,000 to Road and Bridge account 2031-330-323, as discussed before, for repairs and maintenance. And we also need to make a supplemental appropriation of $4,689 to Fire Levy account 2191-110-190 salary, so that the chief can get paid. And that's the resolution.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
John,
Yes?
TJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
that is all I have.
Okay, back into generator talk. We've got a maintenance agreement with the Cummins generator up at the service garage. I think that, is Emmerich still with us?
Yeah, he's still here.
That's pretty thorough, Emmerich. What do they do there? $700 a year. Is he there?
Yeah, he nodded off. He didn't hear you.
I don't blame him.
I'm here.
Okay.
Hey, chief,
I can fill you in a little bit better. It's semi-annual, they come out twice. One is a full PM where they change all the oil and the filters and everything. Go through the whole generator, check it out, make sure everything's operating to specs. The second visit, they come out, they check everything out, it's not a full PM though.
You know, I'd hate to think that we did what we would have done without a generator on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm generally in favor of maintenance agreements because then you know what gets done. So, motion to go with that service contract.
Second?
John,
Yes?
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
We've got franchise fees from Charter Communications, $5,024.57.
I'll make a motion to put those in the land acquisition and improvement fund.
I will second that.
John,
Yes?
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
OTARMA grant, I'm not sure what the acronym MORE is, but it's
That's what they call
$500.
it. That's just what they call it. It's the safety grant. It has to be spent on safety equipment.
Mhm.
We used it for the road department. I can't remember.
Well,
what
we
they
can
call it.
use it for the chaps.
For the,
For the chaps, yeah.
There you go.
Well, actually,
Sure.
we already spent it. We're getting
do you
reimbursed
need
for
any
spending
type of
it.
action though to do
But next
anything
year we
with
can
that?
buy chips.
Yes, no, you don't? Okay. I guess it's an announcement then. I do see we got a nice check from Jaga Trumbull Solid Waste for the tire collection. And we're refunded in full again this year, which I kind of wondered if that was going to
Great.
happen. But it did, so we are the charter members in the county, I think, of that scrap tire grant. We've taken out God knows how many tires over the course of the years.
You know, I didn't ask for that, PJ. I asked only what we were allotted.
Mhm.
And she actually called us back and said that they had so few townships that actually participated this year because of COVID. She said, we're just gonna give you the full amount for your tires.
Let them
So
know we
we got,
appreciate it.
we benefited, yeah.
And I'll bet we find some more next year. Um, We talked about senior trash pickup, that we'll let you know when that is gonna be set up for. The antivirus contract.
Oh,
Yeah, it's on one of these agendas.
The
yeah,
old
that's
one.
on the old agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, I just told her it's like, really nothing to discuss, it's an existing contract, we just had a right to requisition for it.
All right, well, I'll make a motion, we go with Click It again for $877.83.
Second,
John,
Yes,
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
yes,
And that gets us to the bottom of the agenda. John, I don't know if you can see who's here, but we've got a couple residents here, so I'm gonna ask if there's any questions here tonight. Craig, anything to, just, I wanna make sure we get a chance to
I'm here to vent.
vent away.
Okay, my biggest one is the road closed with the tree that fell down. Do you know who put the signs up? Road closed? County or,
On East Washington,
yeah,
that would have been county, quite sure.
okay. When I called about it, fell down Sunday night, it was there Monday, it was there Tuesday, it was there Wednesday morning. I called, here and then I called the county. They said here that we can't do anything, it's a county road, I understand that. County said that, there's a electric line out on there, so they can't do anything until that gets taken care of. So, I made a phone call to my nephew who works for CEI, and within an hour and a half, 2 hours, he had a truck out there, they cleaned it up. Why can't somebody here do that? I did it as a policeman, I know how to work with the utilities. It's just so simple, just making a phone call. So I lost Tuesday business at my restaurant. People are coming down, turning around, not going in, they're coming down one way. They had trucks coming down and then they get stuck because they didn't know where it ended. In Bedford Heights, the service department would put up a sign, road closed, open for businesses, up to a certain point or something. You gotta help the businesses out. I understand it's a county road, but it's still a township. It's part of your responsibility, I believe, because I'm paying taxes here. I put up a $750,000 building here, and it's just, you gotta take that extra step. Somebody has to step in. You know, it wasn't, I did it just because I have contacts, but something has to be done. So it's something for the future.
Yeah, okay, contacts are good to have, I know that. On the rare occasions that I have one, I try to use one, but
But I mean, that was a lot of days.
it was a lot of days, and it was also a big storm covered
And
a huge area.
it wasn't a side street either, it's a main road.
PJ, can I elaborate a little bit?
I think you probably should, Chief, because I know you've
I was all
had some
over that,
experience
that's
with this.
Yeah.
And the day when you called, I already talked to CEI several times, lodged a complaint about it being the main road. that we need to get it opened up, and there was a ticket put in on it initially when that tree came down.
Yeah.
And then I put in a second ticket with our area rep here, told me it's gotta get cleaned up that night, which they did. And then what I had to do the next day is, we got clips actually to cut the tree up and clear the roadway because the county couldn't get out here right away. So CI was the big problem because we had wire involvement. And it took a little while for them to get out here,
Yeah,
but
it just,
I hounded them every day about getting out here until they got out here.
it just, little things like that affects businesses.
I know,
So,
it affects us too,
I mean.
because we gotta go around, we get an emergency.
Yeah, rescue squad going around the block.
Yep.
Okay, couple more things. Your biggest complaint here in the township is cable and internet. I've asked, I know a lot about it. It took me 15 years to get it at the farm, and it was right at Crackle. I understand how a lot of them, the companies think, because the way it happened for the farm was the church got it first. And I went down there and asked them, because the church is a business, they gave them like $7,000 credit to run the cable to their location, so they didn't really have to pay anything. So then I says, well, I'm a business too, let's run it to the farm. So I got the same credit. They're leapfrogging like that. They just won't run a line going down and catch everybody, but everybody on my street, on 44 over there, that's all home businesses. Everybody runs a business out of their house, you know, their office or whatever. So, you know, I wish Spectrum would just run something down, but you gotta play the game over here. You watch some of the chat rooms for Auburn, and everybody's complaining about internet.
Next door.
Oh, next door,
Nancy?
that's what it is.
Yeah,
Nancy,
yes.
could you just give us a summary, give him a summary of what we've done in the last 6 months trying to work with Spectrum and Windstream, or anybody that would listen to us?
I make a phone call to Spectrum every other week. Every other week, I have the government representative's name, and it's like, where are we? I'll send you the emails that I sent him. I sent him the results of that survey. I sent him the census. I sent him all the roads in our township. I sent him how many residents we have. I sent him, I have been sending him information like you can't believe. And not only have I sent it to the government rep, I have sent it to the guy up in Menor who, I can't think of what he's like it's a weird name, but he is actually the person that decides whether we're worthy to get their service or not. And supposedly, I've talked to him directly now twice, and he said that he has moved it on up the chain. And I'll say, give me the name of the person that you moved it up to. Give me the phone number. Oh, well, I don't know exactly where it goes. It went on to the next guy. And then next thing you know, the government rep is calling me saying, well, I just talked to this guy in Menor, and it looks like things are moving. They're not moving.
I understand how that works.
I don't
but
know
my
what else
problem,
to do.
The way I handle things, I'll write a certified letter to the CEO and the board of directors of Spectrum. And I've got action a lot faster doing that, because they don't want that on them. They call down there, and when it comes from the top going down, it gets done.
Agreed.
So,
Agreed,
I mean,
which
that's-
is how we got Windstream here. Windstream actually came to a
Windstream
meeting
was
and
here.
talked to our trustees
Okay.
about the internet.
on
and
Windstream, I have fiber in front of my building.
then-
They didn't tell anybody it was there. There's
Exactly.
fiber all over the place here, but they don't know, the residents don't know it's there. Some of Windstream doesn't even know it's there.
I agree.
Apparently, the
I agree.
construction's not completed, is what we were told.
Everett was hooked up to it in DTG where he's living, and he didn't know that it was available to him.
But there's a Windstream guy I'm trying to get hooked up with, where all I want him to do is meet with me, show me a map where it's at. And I can't get a hold of the guy. But I'm gonna,
We got that map, don't we?
this is like through Bill Ballou. Bill knows the guy.
Yeah,
Windstream was just in here and gave us a map
Got that
of
map.
the entire township and what they had where and what the service was.
yeah, it shows where the fiber optics are and what
I'll
speeds are
send that
running
to you
where.
tomorrow, Craig. I'll send
Okay,
that to
but
you tomorrow.
I'm not concerned about me. I Windstream at the restaurant, it works perfect. I don't even have the fiber in yet,
Yeah.
which I'll get when they activate it. I just
Where
hear from the
Windstream's
people
not available.
constantly. So, I mean, I'm trying to help them out. I get no benefit out of it. I have Spectrum at the farm.
You know,
And then-
then have you talked to any of these people that tell them what you do, that you just call them up and say, hey, I want it, and I want it now, hook my house up? They should be able to do that, right?
Well, a lot of them, like Spectrum, they send you something in the mail, oh, get internet. Well, I got that for 15 years, and every time I call, they go, well, there's no internet there. Then why are you sending me?
I know.
I'm getting at my
I
house.
get
That was the
too.
last email that I sent to this government guy
Well,
from
do-
Spectrum. I said, you know, a lot of our residents are really upset seeing all these ads. Spectrum business, we can offer you this. I go, and you're not even in our township, you know,
It
it's
is
hard
literally,
to.
it's the biggest talked about thing
I know,
in this community, because now with everyone being home,
right?
their children,
And the kids going to school.
like, what do you guys have here? Do
Right.
you guys have Suddenlink here?
No, Windstream,
Because what everybody is talking about is saying that, I live on Ascot off of 44. Everyone's saying that the township supposedly has some kind of contract with Suddenlink.
no.
The news did a
I
story
know.
on it and everything.
I
No,
tried
we
to
don't
explain
have
that
any
to everybody.
contract.
AT&T told me one time when I tried to get their internet, that they told on Shaw, they said, your phone lines aren't updated enough to get that type of service, and it wasn't worthy of them to run new lines. So I always had that thought, if somebody actually happened to hook a telephone line and rip it off, then they'd have to put the new lines in.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm game.
I don't, you know, I try to stay away from that kind of behavior.
I've stopped the Suddenlink guys on the road. I do what Craig does. I see the guys working.
yeah,
I pull out. I go, hey, what are you doing?
yeah.
Oh, we're checking some stuff. Well, I talk to technicians, and they basically say, they tell me straight up, Suddenlink is not going to fix anything. They told me that. They know exactly what's
Yes.
wrong. When
Yeah.
it rains in our development, our whole development doesn't work for 3 days. Nobody has internet.
At least you got it though, we don't even have it.
You don't want it, trust me, it's horrible. But when we do have it, I'm paying, I got a $3 refund for complaining for over 4 hours on the phone with, I got $3. I told them to keep it, I paid them the extra $3 and said, I don't want your $3. You need it more than I do.
Are we into any contracts or
No.
can't you, I mean.
Well, there's
you got-
implied things, Craig, we mentioned tonight, Charter Communications, the franchise fee.
Okay,
So-
so what
Well,
about,
I don't want to just
Companies in here.
beat this forever, but let me just assure you, I've talked to them all numerous times. Nancy's talked to them all numerous times. We're receiving call after call and complaint after complaint. We're not just doing nothing, but on the other hand, we had them say, well, here, it's going to give us $500,000, we might consider, because it's so expensive. And I'm like, well, no. And, but we're working on trying the best. And if you know better than us, tell us how to do it.
has anybody looked into the SAR grants?
We're not an internet company here.
Looked into what?
We're just trying to get these clowns to service the people.
A SAR grants through the government, it's something sustainable.
Yeah,
something-
we've looked into it, it's for rural development of
Yeah,
internet.
there's actually a House
Do we
bill.
fit in?
The issue is we have internet, even if it
Yeah.
sucks.
They
They,
don't count us as
we
rural.
don't-
we're not,
have
and
internet every place,
we have
though.
too dense of a population. As long as it covers a certain percentage of your township, then I looked into it in a cursory way. I didn't dig deep down into the legalese of it, but if you have a certain percentage of your population that can get internet,
And we're not eligible.
you really don't qualify for it. At this time, things are changing.
Yeah.
Because of the pandemic, actually, they're trying to open it up and get it more open to more people. But we just Auburn Township just at this
Well,
point wouldn't qualify, as far as I know.
I'm offering you my assistance on any internet issues, because like I said, I have it, but I will help in any way. Get me involved, give me some people's names, and let me try something.
I'm more than willing to work.
Oh, yeah,
I know you're
yeah.
getting bombarded, and the
Has
residents
anybody
are
looked
fuming,
into
so
Wildwing?
it
What
just,
is
we
it?
need it.
Wildwing, which
Yeah,
is,
we need-
which is
we
gone
need
into
that.
Summit County, Northfield Center.
No, I haven't.
Their data isn't guaranteed.
I've heard
They're-
they're having
they're
trouble.
garbage.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
don't know, they've been in Independence.
Yeah, they're garbage, trust me.
Really
They
true?
don't guarantee any of their data. They say you can get up to, which most of them do. Like if you look at the fine print, it'll say up to 100 meg download. But they never give you the 100 meg. They're giving you 40 and you're paying, like Suddenlink, I got 150 meg.
They were fast.
I never get 150 meg. I get higher megabyte on my LTE.
Yeah.
Well, they,
So,
yeah, well, suddenly,
but I got $3 back, so I guess that was a
We
win.
I invited Suddenlink to come to a meeting to talk to the trustees.
I don't really-
Repeatedly, we've invited them over the
They
years.
finally
The only
agreed
reason
to
Suddenly
come,
even has internet here is
and 2
because
weeks
they had
later, I
cable
got
TV for the
a
last
call
40
that
years.
because of COVID, they decided to stay away.
Back to Shaw, we don't even have cable.
So is
No
Suddenlink,
internet, no cable.
Are
no
they-
nothing.
That's the only cable we have, Suddenlink, that's it, no other
that
cable.
was the old Star cable?
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
the original.
That was the original one.
They've traded hands so many times, we don't even know
What's it
who really
called?
controls
Cable's
it at
not
this point.
regulated. What's it, there's a word for that, I can't remember it. But it,
It's not even
deregulation, I
utilities,
think,
it's
because it's
Well,
in
it was
deregulation.
deregulated back in the late nineties, early 2000s. and
Exactly, that's
So they don't
when
have to
we,
provide the level of service that they used to have to provide.
Well, Spectrum ran, wasn't in our area at the pizza shop, but they ran fiber to the doctors because they needed it and they paid a higher fee. But they said they couldn't run regular cable because they're not allowed in this area because it's like.
Yeah, that's,
As we asked the
Right.
Windstream people the other day, yes, there is some territorial things that go back to, believe it or not, the Ohio Bell,
Yeah.
834 exchange.
But these aren't contracts with the township, these are,
These have nothing to do with us.
No, I
it
know
doesn't
that.
do with us, they have their own territories that they'd all worked out a long time ago
But is
among
there any
themselves.
exemptions for that? I mean, I remember I had AT&T, I says, can you run it to the farm?
I mean,
And
it's,
they go, no. I says, well, can you waive the pole fee so, Windstream can run it down? And they said, no. Well, you're not gonna give me service and you won't let somebody else give me service.
my
They
understanding is.
they don't give a damn. is
The
what
only
it
way they
is.
can do it is if the other utility agrees that they can go into
That's
their
right.
area.
That's what Nellis told us.
you know what though, that's for cable. Internet is deregulated. Internet,
No, that's for
anybody,
telephone,
huh?
that's for telephone.
Telephone, yeah.
The prosecutor told me it's internet. Internet
Internet
is,
over
is-
telephone lines,
oh,
like Windstream.
well, yeah, so that would be the cable.
I love that Windstream.
Bottom line is, I mean, people are, I talk to a lot of people, and on that Nextdoor app, I don't know if you guys go
Yeah,
on it at
I
all,
do-
but
I
I'm
am
telling
on
you,
it.
it is huge and everybody complains. I mean, it's a big deal for all of the community. I mean, I know you guys have been doing stuff, don't take it the wrong way, but you're obviously haven't gotten anywhere.
You're
So
right,
we need to do
you're right.
something different.
That's not true at all, that we haven't gotten anywhere.
Well,
No,
nothing's changed.
Yeah, I don't think we have gotten anywhere either. I mean,
Where we got, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, let me know where we've gotten, because all I see is complaints. I can pull them up all day long.
Well, I think if we would have citizens involved like you and Craig, that's two more people putting their heads together to try and figure something out.
I left you 2 messages, Fred. You never called me back.
I don't remember you leaving me a message.
It was right after the TV came out when they can't do anything because they tell you talk to your township. Then they tell
That's
you
an
to get
easy
lawyers.
cop-out for 'em.
They tell you to get
Right.
lawyers involved. I mean, it's like that's like over our head, you know. I mean,
Like I said, they're a business, they're trying to make money.
sure. I mean,
And
it's
they don't wanna put a,
like I said, the
$1
bottom line
million
is it's bad.
infrastructure in so they can get your $50 a month.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, it rains and
That's
the
the whole
subway
reason that none
technicians,
of
that's
this
what
is
they
happening. It
say.
has nothing to do with the township or anything
No,
else.
no, no.
They just are, they're a business and
I think what
They
they
really
feel
don't-
is if the township gets involved, it's like a higher power saying, hey, listen, these are our citizens
Oh, yeah,
that are
when they-
paying tax
when
dollars
If
to
they hear
live here.
township trustees on the phone, they start shaking in their boots.
Well, hey, you never know. I don't know, I mean,
Hey,
Okay.
the other thing too is we spend an inordinate amount of time responding to these complaints, you know, for the past year. That's all that Nancy's does
No, I
half the
understand.
time. And so,
yeah, I've talked
the,
to them.
the issue is that we don't have all the time in the world to devote to this because we're running a township and we got a million other things to do, so if citizens.
Sure, no, I
can
get that, I
involved-
get that, that's why I said, don't
That's
take it the
gonna help.
wrong way. You know, I'm just saying, it is a
The other-
big concern for
The
people now.
the other
with COVID.
thing is, of course, as everybody knows in this game, money talks, we actually looked into the legality of spending this CARES Act money.
That's what she had told us, yeah.
We looked into
It wasn't
that.
enough.
It's not, it's,
No, it's not gonna be a dent, they want hundreds of thousands of dollars.
well, they want more than that, because we had hundreds of thousands of
Yeah,
dollars.
no, I know
and They
that.
weren't interested.
Yeah.
So,
I'll show you what kind of power township trustees have, even though you guys can't get internet. Tell them about the cable service you got at your
I
place,
have
if you're a township
I have
trustee.
nothing available, they're telling me I'm outside the physical plant, so, which stops a telephone pole to the west and 2 telephone poles to the east, but they won't span that there's 5 new homes in this area, I'm one of them, and they won't stretch the wire over the.
Did you tell me you're a
It's
township
true.
trustee though?
He's gotta walk around with a coat hanger hooked to his TV to
Well,
get
listen,
any
well, let me
TV
talk to the mayor.
stations.
Yeah, they said, let me talk to the mayor, maybe we'll consider.
I think you guys understand my point, though.
Yeah.
It is a
Yeah.
big, it's a
Totally.
huge, I get it, Fred, that you guys have other stuff to do, but I'm
Oh,
telling you,
as a resident,
People care.
I'm concerned too. I've got 2 kids that are in school that are
Sure.
doing virtual learning, and they complain all the time about the quality of the internet.
yeah, it's bad. I went out and actually bought a T-Mobile
Any
unit.
power that comes attached to the township trustees because you're able to spend some money. We run a tight enough ship here that we can't scrape up $500,000, which might get them to bat or wink at us.
I just don't even think that should be, I don't even
I don't
think we
think
should
it
have
should
to
be
do
either,
that.
that's
I
what it
mean,
is.
I don't understand why Suddenlink can't fix their infrastructure. And the tech guys, like I was saying before, I didn't finish, they straight up told me, they know about the problem. They won't fix it.
I can tell you, if we could get a group of people together that, you know, have some interest in it, I think we can do that. And, you know, that would work within our abilities here. I think the township would host such a
No,
group.
I've gone as far as looked up the president and the president and vice president of Suddenlink. I hunted them down on, what's that? It's on an app where your businesses refer to each other. And I sent it out to all the people that took the survey, that were complaining or would call me, and I said, here's their information.
Right.
Call
Well, I'm
them.
sure you got sick of the calls. I know I called here a few times. I mean,
But I mean,
That's what
talk
we do.
about
We call
going
our
to the
township,
top.
you know.
That's,
Can I
I
make
sent out
a
his information.
suggestion?
Sure.
I got a lot more out of calling the Better Business Bureau. Because I had a dealing with Suddenlink back in August where I was without internet for over 4 weeks. They didn't want
Yeah.
to give me any money.
Oh, we've heard that.
I got
Yeah.
$3.
So I went through the Better Business Bureau and eventually they're actually owned by a company out of New York. And had them call me and they gave me over $75 back on the
What
loan.
does
So-
Suddenlink run off?
And they actually repaired.
Altis, they're Altis.
Altis.
I believe.
They actually repaired whatever the problem was, because now I am getting 80 megabytes per second in the house.
That's good.
So I would suggest every single customer out there, call the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah, start calling. I filed complaints with the FCC, and then they're mandatory, they have to report it to Suddenlink, then Suddenlink's supposed to contact you. Then they contact me, and then then it gets disconnected miraculously.
Yeah.
3
yeah.
times I've done it, and every
Yeah.
time, they're like, hello, this is Suddenlink, and I'm like, hello, and they're like, oh, we can't hear you, click, they hang up,
Yeah.
and they never call back.
Yeah.
That's serious.
What,
3 times.
what would you think, Mike? And the suggestion came from Craig and the company over here. What if we could get 5 to 7 people together? I don't think you want more than that on some little ad hoc committee. We could host it.
Yeah.
I have talked to some people from the school that would like to be, and they're Auburn residents, they'd like to be involved in such a thing, because they got a big stick in this too.
Post it on the next door app, you'll get like 100 people here.
Yeah.
Well, you don't need 100 people.
I'm just saying,
You get 100
you,
people,
you
don't
can
have-
pick it, I mean, you
yeah.
could pick a jury at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how many people
It's
I
like
think
having 2
will-
quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback.
There's a lot of people trying to do stuff themselves, but I think there's not enough people backing each individual person. Everyone's kind of going a different way, like, oh, we're talking to Windstream, oh, we're trying to talk to
Well, I
Spectrum.
think you keep it small, 5 to 7 people, I don't even think that,
Focus
other
on
than the
one.
host, I don't know, even know if that the township should be involved at the start of it, because we get 5 to 7 business people, or, like I said, school people, or whatever, and you come up with a list of goals, and the contacts, and you
Sure.
take it from there,
Sure.
over a limited amount of time.
Yeah, something, anything.
Okay, I'm for that.
I agree.
Well, there's the first 4, we only need 3 more.
I don't think
Nancy,
he's
you
right,
have a
you won't
map
have a problem finding them.
Territories for the different,
I,
so like, back, I mean, you
I-
guys are, I'm not supposed to rephrase, I was gonna say B word, but you guys are complaining about crappy internet. I got no internet.
I got no internet.
I got no cable.
Well, you gotta
I got-
move.
I got nothing. And right at the end of the street is Troy Oaks, and they got high speed, I think they got Windstream there. So,
Yeah.
once again, they're running from the phone lines, and I'm thinking, they're telling me these phone lines are no good. I don't know, is that a safety concern? My
Okay, we
phone
don't
lines
wanna go
suck?
on with this forever, but
No, I'll
because
pull their
where
lines
you
out.
are,
Troy
it's
Oaks
AT&T.
was the only place
Isn't
that
it
had
AT&T
cable.
where you are? I think that,
I don't know, I stopped my phone service because it sucked so bad anyhow with the
that
crappy lines.
southeast part of the township is AT&T, and they're being relayed out of Burton. And, yeah,
The old 834 exchange.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, they have nothing, and Windstream can't go into AT&T's territory. And like, it's right across the street, well, by CERN is right across the street, I think that's Windstream then. You can see the Windstream lines, but Windstream can't cross the street to go to the AT&T.
He's got everything at his place, because he calls and complains, and then they show up.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell he's doing over there.
you're hired.
President Power, get him on the committee.
But I saw
Good
on
credit
next
charge.
door, I thought they were opening a class action suit. Did you see that on that next door? They were talking about.
That was somebody, a private person was trying to do that, they have an attorney that was doing it, but like I said,
Yeah.
like, I mean, I don't know who she is, I don't know what they were doing, that's the problem, is like what he just said, maybe try to get the people together and say, okay, let's put something together and do it. Because everyone's trying to do something individually,
Yeah,
and nobody's getting anywhere,
yeah.
you know?
Greg, have you heard, we've heard information that whoever is the latest buyer of Suddenlink, that individual or that entity came in and just massively fired, massively terminated much of their service, loyal service crew, people who had worked for them for years
Oh, yeah.
and years.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
heard that story too?
Yeah, well, there's one guy who used to work out of, Nelson, and he was the repair guy for our area. And, I had his cell phone number, so I tried not to overuse him, but he was my contact. And I called him, he said, Nancy, I go, how you doing? I'm awful, I have stage 4 cancer. I go, so
Yeah.
sorry to hear that.
Yes.
And he said,
Yes.
and
That's right.
suddenly fired me the day after they found out,
Yes.
and they fired this guy and this guy and
Yes.
this guy, and
Yeah.
that's what I
Yes.
heard, they just,
We
Yes,
had,
everybody
we had
else.
just installed
Yes.
internet at my dad's place, and yeah, they all seem to be out-of-state subcontractors now.
yeah,
Other
they are
services.
definitely out of state,
And
they're
they're subcontractors.
subcontractors,
So
area
whatever
contractors.
loyalty they had,
Yeah,
they
They got rid of
totally
them.
lost it, they didn't
Yes.
give a damn.
yes.
Are we voting Craig the czar of internet now?
Yes.
I'll help where I can. One more thing, quick, is, next time we get movie people coming out here, or I can assist on this, because I've had movie crews coming that filmed out here, we gotta be a little more receptive to them, trying to help them out. I think when Liam Nielsen came out, we did Adam Hall, did we charge him full price for the Adam Hall? I mean,
I don't even remember.
We didn't charge them at all.
Charging them at all, I don't think.
okay, I mean, the thing with movies coming in is they get state tax revenue or something, I don't know, something with,
They get some
to get them in here.
Yeah.
So we want people to come in here, we want them to be in Auburn, we want them to spend money at the restaurants, the bars, and spend money, so we gotta cater to them a little bit. I've worked with a couple already, I know how they work, if anything comes up, I'm glad to assist on it. Just get a hold of me, I even took a couple out for site selection. Tell me what you're looking for, I'll drive you around town. And I didn't drive them out of Auburn, I want them in Auburn.
No, we didn't, Craig. They came to us and we offered them the park. They could have anything in the park to park over there, but that was too far away. They wanted somewhere closer that they could shuttle the
Okay.
people back and forth to this bridge, and that's how we ended up with Adam Hall. But yeah, no, John Everly was in my office at that time, and we offered them anything and everything that they
Okay,
wanted.
as long as we're taking care of them,
Yeah.
because I offered them my
What
resume.
could we have more done?
Yeah,
Yeah, you did a good job.
What more
man.
could we have done?
no, we did good. He just didn't know what we did.
Wayne Niels wanted to fish.
Oh, well, we worked with them 4 or 5 times and,
Okay,
Yeah, we did
I
good.
mean, they made the movie here.
We
yeah,
didn't scare them off, so.
yeah, that's good though.
Just wonder what all those other movies aren't doing here, you know?
out for me.
We got the one of the finest bridges this side of the Mississippi. You think they can do more movies at that bridge?
I suppose for PR, they might offer a free version of the movie.
No.
Not these
They never
days.
even finished the movie because of the COVID. It stopped.
I tried to audition, but they didn't want me.
All right, so we need a hand grenade budget for Craig, and we'll just call him Hollywood Cerna.
I second that.
And Emmerich, you did a good job on plowing, if you're still up.
Can you hear us?
I'm here, I'm listening to the banter.
Is that a pillow he's got?
He just said you did a good job on plowing.
I will say,
Yeah, I heard that, like,
Just a lousy job of getting rid of that wire across the street, moving the tree.
I called him on a tree on Shaw that I kind of plowed halfway out of the road. It was blocking the whole road, but next time I went up the street, they already had it cut up and off the road, so it was pretty quick.
Yeah, there was a lot of residents.
Can I jump in here and ask a question, please?
Why not? Go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. So, first of all, my name is John Tucker. I live off of Auburn Road, and I'm also on the same electrical grid as John Everly. And he and I have had a discussion, I think back in September, about power.
Sure.
Yeah. And first of all, number one, I really want to say thank you to all the emergency services in our community who did what they could to keep the roads open. I was without power for over 30 hours, and John, you were probably out too.
Me too.
Yeah, so
I'm on the same circuit.
you're on the same grid as me. So, I mean, I know there's nothing you can do about the snowstorm. It's gonna knock down trees. And 2 weeks prior to that, we lost power again. I was out for about 28 hours due to windstorm. And 2 weeks prior to that, I was also without power. So I'm expecting my next major power outage this coming weekend, because it seems to happen every 2 weeks. Nevertheless, you can't stop Mother Nature. Have we, or has First Energy, or has CEI, whomever, done any sort of a study to indicate where the weak points are in our grid, whether it be because of trees or things like that? Has any of that been done to at least try to improve the situation so we can, mitigate the risk of trees falling down and, so we're not losing power, we're not out power for so long? Again, I know there's not much we can do here, but has anybody done any kind of a study where we are at the most risk with our power grids, so I'm not without power for that long? That's all I'm asking.
Here's what the power company has done. There's that substation up on Washington Street. They've beefed up the circuit breakers, so if you ever notice, it blinks, and goes out.
And that's what, and I'll tell you right now, that's what destroyed one of my hard drives on a computer just recently, and it knocked out my DSL modem last week. They had to finally replace it today, so. And that's not good when it does that, because that's not good for your appliances either. Anyway.
Well, what it does is before the power would just go immediately out. And many times, if you'll notice, it blinks, and stays on. And that's because there's a circuit breaker up there. However, we have been complaining to CEI for well over 20 years about this. We've had them come to the meetings. We've complained to our rep. And what they say is, and now, you know, at my house, we have underground wiring.
Yeah, I know you're
So
at.
when they're telling me there's a tree in your neighborhood laying on the wire, I get a little excited. But, you know, you go, you don't even know what you're talking about. But anyway, the latest thing is that we're on the end of a big long circuit.
Right.
And that circuit goes all the way up into Newberry. And so somewhere along that line, something hit the wires. That's what they're saying now.
Yeah, does
And
our
I
John,
said, well, that's fine.
John,
The residents are calling, go to that place and fix it.
yeah, does our line for our part of the grid go all the way up to Newberry? Because I think what's really frustrating is we lose, you know, you and I lose power, but then all I gotta do is look at Taylor May and all
That's
the
a whole different circuit.
Well, that's my point, and that's why I was asking the question about where are the weak points in this, and you know, can we push people to, hey, do something about these weak points? If there's trees that are growing in the lines, for God's sakes, take them down. I mean, there was a tree off of Taylor May after the windstorm was about 3 weeks ago, where it was literally just laying across the line, and nobody did anything about it until about 2 weeks later, they finally took the tree down.
Well, I'm just gonna tell you this, and Emmerich and I have had this conversation times. Just when we think we can't have another tree blow down, the wind starts blowing and 10 more blow down.
Yeah, I know.
It's a never-ending issue.
Yeah.
And, you know, back, we had, what, 20, was it 17 or 20 100-foot tall pine trees all blow over right there at the administration building. And, you know, it's, the wind is a very powerful thing.
Yeah, and again, I'm not arguing about that. Mother Nature can do very nasty damage. I mean, I'm looking at it from the point of view, and I think, Mr. Gordon, I think you were talking about clearing trees or something like that off of Gordon, off of Stafford Road, for example. But my question really is, have we, the community, or has the energy company done any sort of a risk analysis along in our community here, where the weak spots are, say, hey, we gotta start taking these trees down.
They come out every year and they send trucks out. If you saw Penline was out all summer along our roads. They call me up asking permission, or not permission, basically saying we're gonna be in your right of way doing work. They clear whatever, if you see the trees, the tops chopped off along the transmission lines, that's them. That's the utility companies being proactive, taking that into account. What happens though, is the trees that are out of the right of way on private property that are in contact or near their lines, those are the ones taking it out, like that pine tree that you saw in Taylor May.
Yeah.
That one, Nancy had called, I had her call successive times, because we were getting calls from residents every day about the peril of driving under that.
Well, I know, I was worried myself, yeah.
And well, what had happened, if you're aware of this, the service wasn't interrupted. If the service is not interrupted, they do not respond, no matter how dangerous the situation is. And the way, especially with the illuminating company First Energy, the way that they're acting, because we get the alerts in our emails, they're gonna take on the largest amount of residents affected, and then they whittle it down. And, you know, if you're in a group that's only 25 affected and you go on there, you're at the end of the line to get your power back. So they're gonna take care of the most customers first. And in the end, they're doing the one-offs where there's just a line to a house or something like that.
No,
We're not in contact. We have daily updates from these people. They're letting us know how many are affected and who's getting service. We just can't direct them.
I get that. I get that. Again, I appreciate, you know, what you're doing here. My only thought was, have they done any sort of a risk analysis where they can mitigate some of the risk? You know, like in the spring or summertime, start chopping down some trees that have the highest risk impact of hitting lines during inclement weather.
Well, those ones on private property, some of those trees were planted by the Pilgrims, right, Emmer?
I didn't realize this was Zoom today.
That's what we're told. We came over on the Mayflower.
Wow.
Can you put them in their own room?
We're old.
All right,
You don't know
we've
what
got-
we go through just trimming the trees in the road right away
The
sometimes.
CEI rep.
And,
Okay, there's a
but yeah, we
resident,
got a lady, she said, I stood under that tree as a girl
Oh my
to
God.
wait for the bus. And I'm thinking, that tree's only 10 years old.
Oh,
is there a
my.
keg out there somewhere?
On
I
some
don't
of
know
these,
about?
I can mute them, but you gotta guarantee
some of
me
these
my job
projects as a
tomorrow.
Yeah.
some of these projects as a
I
recent
know, I'm
that
trying to
being
get him in
staffed
here.
is road.
Yeah, you got.
Hang on.
Hit the mute
Uh,
button.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna interview a fellow tonight named Doug Saltz, is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and who has a connection with CEI, and he'd like to get in here on this conversation, maybe we can wrap it up after that and interview him.
Yeah.
Doug?
Anyway, that was my question here, because like I said, I'm waiting for the big power failure this coming
Okay,
weekend.
here's
so we have 2 weeks.
here's a CEI connection to
Okay, we have a guy here from
Somebody's
CEI
got
who's gonna
some-
explain all this. So everybody be quiet, so the CEI guy can talk.
It's you, Doug.
So the original question was around, do we do a study to see if there's any type of weak points? We actually do an annual study. It's called our worst performing circuits. And we have to, in accordance with the Public Utility Commission of Ohio, give a report to them annually on our 104 top worst performing circuits. And then we owe them what took it out, what was the causes, and what are we gonna do about it? And the vast majority, again, over 60% of the causes of the ones you guys are talking about are what we call off-road trees, off the right-of-way. So CEI is not allowed to cut those trees. Those trees are owned by the customers. Those trees are on private property. We're not allowed to touch them unless they let us. And they are actually the customer's responsibility. But we do run a program that spends about $4 million a year, where we go out and we look for those danger trees that are off the right-of-way, and we actually approach customers that if you allow us, we'll take out that tree on our dollar, because it is a risk tree to our power lines. And we spend over $4 million on that project every year.
Pretty hard to find them all.
Pretty hard to find them all, number one, and number two, half the time the customer says, no, you can't cut down that old oak tree.
Heavily property.
Get off my property.
If you use a fire, you can put all the trees on.
Cut their
And
power
we
line
Cut
then.
it up when it falls over on our lines.
I can tell you, when there's a
Cut out
storm
their
too,
power.
they just do a cut and run too. Because,
First day is all cut and run. We
They're-
are just
especially
cutting
with
down.
wind,
We're cutting down where the failures are so we can restore, because when that tree hits that line, it's tripped all the way back to the substation. When we find where the failure point is, we cut the line, then we can re-energize the thousands of customers upstream. But everybody downstream, guess what? We're still in cut and run phase for the first day. And then we come back around the second time around, it's repair mode, and it takes time.
especially when the weather is that bad, you can't have guys up in bucket trucks when it's 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Right?
Yeah.
People just don't use
That's-
common sense. I mean, it's a safety thing. I know. I mean,
Well, I have to say that, I think it was Wednesday, I went up to the BP station up by 422 and 306, and there was a whole bunch of guys from First Energy out of Monroe, West Virginia, and I thank them for coming up here to help out.
We brought 700 full-time employees from out of state for the past.
I saw them out there on Valley Road, yes I did.
Well, I can only say thank you for that, and hopefully, we can continue to mitigate the risk here so the service isn't disrupted as much as it's been in the past few weeks for me. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anybody else on anything, and we're gonna do an interview or two here tonight, an executive session. Anybody else? Thank you for coming. I'm gonna make a motion to go into executive session for an interview. It applies to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G.
PJ,
Yes.
are you gonna discuss any business after?
No, there'll be no business, there's no
So, is it
further
okay if
business.
we end the Zoom meeting?
Well, John might want to be in on
I'll
the
leave John, but we're gonna ask everybody else to leave.
Yeah.
We have a motion on the floor.
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys.
yeah.